The coffee mug shattered against the wall, missing Marcus's head by inches. "You're worthless," Jessica screamed, her perfectly manicured finger jabbing toward the brown stain spreading across the marble floor. "Clean it up. Now." Marcus knelt down, his janitor's uniform reeking of bleach and humiliation, and began wiping up the mess. What Jessica didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the man scrubbing her spilled coffee owned every gleaming tile beneath their feet. 3 weeks earlier, Marcus Sterling had everything except the one thing money couldn't buy. At 32, he'd built a tech empire worth billions, lived in a penthouse that touched the clouds, and could buy anything his heart desired. But his heart was empty. His last girlfriend, Natasha, had left him for a hedge fund manager. "He's got old money, Marcus," she'd said without a hint of shame. "You're just new rich." That night, staring at his reflection in his floor-to-ceiling windows, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. Sterling Trust Bank was opening in 2 weeks, his latest venture into the financial sector. The building was complete, staff were being hired, and Marcus had an idea that his assistant called insane. "I'm going undercover," he'd announced, "as a janitor." His assistant, David, had nearly choked on his espresso. "You want to mop floors in your own bank?" Marcus nodded. "I want to see who people really are when they think I'm nobody. I'm done with gold diggers and social climbers. I want to find someone real." So Marcus became Mike Thompson, janitor, earning minimum wage in a building worth $50 million. Day one nearly broke him. His hands, used to signing contracts and typing emails, blistered from wringing out mops. His back ached from scrubbing toilets. But the physical pain was nothing compared to how people treated him. Jessica Martinez, the bank's new manager, saw him as less than human. She'd throw trash on floors he'd just cleaned and laugh with the other staff. "At least we're not janitors," she'd say loud enough for him to hear. Brad, the security guard, was different. On day 3, he sat next to Marcus during lunch break. "Don't let Jessica get to you, man," Brad said, offering half his sandwich. "She's got her sights set on marrying rich, treats everyone like dirt unless they can do something for her." Marcus accepted the sandwich, grateful for the kindness. "Does everyone here think like her?" he asked. Brad shook his head. "Nah. There's this IT girl, Elena. She's good people. Keeps to herself mostly, but she's never mean to anyone." Marcus noticed Elena that afternoon. She was in the server room, buried in cables and screens, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. When she emerged, she nearly bumped into him. "Oh, sorry," she said, actually making eye contact. "You're new, right? Mike?" He nodded, surprised she knew his fake name. "I'm Elena. If you ever need anything, like if the break room coffee machine is broken again, just let me know. I'm pretty good at fixing things." She smiled, genuine and warm, then headed back to work. Something in Marcus's chest tightened, but he had a plan to stick to. That evening, he watched Jessica at the upscale bar across the street, her target a silver-haired man in an expensive suit. Marcus had overheard her earlier talking to another employee about her strategy. "Once this bank opens, I'm finding myself a rich husband and getting out of the working world," she'd laughed. "Why work when you can marry money?" Now, watching her touch the old man's arm and laugh too loud at his mediocre jokes, Marcus felt his stomach turn. The next night, he decided to test her himself. He cleaned up, borrowed a modest suit from David, and accidentally bumped into Jessica at the same bar. "Oh, Jessica, right. From the bank?" She looked him up and down, clearly not recognizing him without the janitor uniform. Her eyes narrowed with interest. "Yes, and you are?" Her smile was calculated, practiced. Mike Thompson. I'm an accountant, just moved to the city." They talked for 30 minutes. Marcus kept his stories modest, mentioning his small apartment and student loans. Jessica's interest visibly cooled with each sentence. When he suggested they split the bill for drinks, her face transformed. "Actually, I just remembered I have an early meeting tomorrow," she said, already gathering her purse. "It was nice meeting you, Mike." She was gone before he could respond. Marcus watched her leave, feeling nothing but vindication. Test number 1 failed spectacularly. He returned to work the next morning with a clearer picture of who Jessica really was. But Elena kept surprising him. During his lunch break, she appeared with 2 containers. "Hey, Mike, I always make too much food. Want some?" She sat down across from him without waiting for an answer, pushing a container of homemade pasta toward him. "How are you settling in? I know Jessica can be a lot." Marcus opened the container, the smell making his stomach growl. "She's fine. I've dealt with worse." Elena laughed softly. "You don't have to be polite. She's terrible to everyone she thinks is beneath her. Last week she made our intern cry." She twirled pasta on her fork. "I don't get people like that. We're all just trying to make it, you know?" They talked for the entire break. Elena told him about her younger sister, Sophia, who was studying engineering at State College. "Our parents passed away 4 years ago. Car accident, so it's just us now. I work here and do freelance coding on weekends to cover her tuition." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "That's a lot. Do you ever do anything for yourself?" Elena shrugged. "Sophia's dreams are my dreams right now. Once she graduates, maybe I'll finally start that tech company I've been planning since I was 15. Her eyes lit up when she talked about it, and Marcus found himself leaning forward, genuinely interested in every word. Over the next few days, their lunch breaks became routine. Elena never asked him for anything, never complained about her situation with bitterness. She just was, authentically and completely herself. When Marcus mentioned struggling to pay rent that month, she immediately offered, "I can lend you something until payday." He declined, moved by the offer from someone who had so little. This woman was offering help to a janitor while working 2 jobs herself. Meanwhile, Vanessa Chen started frequenting the bank. She was a wealth management client, always dressed in designer clothes, always acting like she owned the place. One afternoon, she stopped Marcus as he was emptying trash bins. "You're different from the usual corporate robots around here," she said, eyeing him with obvious interest. "What's your story?" Marcus, still in character, gave her the struggling janitor narrative. Her eyes sparkled. "That's so refreshing. I'm so tired of pretentious rich guys who only talk about their portfolios and vacation homes." She asked him to coffee. Marcus agreed, curious if she might be different from Jessica. They met at a trendy cafe, and Vanessa spent an hour talking about how she valued real people and authentic connections. She ordered the most expensive items on the menu, and when the check came, she slid it across to Marcus without hesitation. "You've got this, right?" When he hesitated, mentioning his tight budget, her warmth evaporated like morning fog. "Oh, I thought you were being humble. You're actually broke." She stood up, her designer bag already on her shoulder. "I think I have another appointment. This was fun, though." Marcus sat alone with the $60 check, understanding washing over him. Vanessa didn't want authenticity. She wanted the aesthetic of dating down without any of the reality. She wanted to feel noble for slumming it with the janitor, but only if he still somehow paid for her luxury lifestyle. Test number 2 failed. That evening, Elena found him sitting outside the bank after his shift. "You okay? You look upset." Marcus wanted to tell her everything, about the tests, about Vanessa, about who he really was. "Just a bad day," he managed. Elena sat beside him on the steps. "Want to talk about it?" When he shook his head, she didn't push. They just sat there in comfortable silence, watching the city lights flicker on. "You know what I like about you, Mike?" Elena said finally. You're real. Everyone else in there is so fake, so obsessed with climbing some invisible ladder. But you just do your job and treat people with respect. That's rare. Marcus felt guilt twist in his stomach like a knife. She thought he was real, but he was lying to her every single day. Elena, I need to tell you something. She turned to face him, her expression open and trusting. His phone buzzed. David's message flashed across the screen. Grand opening moved up to this Friday. Press conference at 10 a.m. You need to be there as yourself. Marcus's blood ran cold. Friday was 3 days away. He looked at Elena, her eyes still waiting for whatever he'd been about to say. I really value our friendship, he said instead, hating himself for the cowardice. Elena smiled. Me too. You're probably the only genuine friend I've made in this city. The words pierced him deeper than any insult Jessica had thrown. The next 2 days were torture. Marcus tried multiple times to tell Elena the truth. On Wednesday, he found her alone in the break room. Elena, there's something about me you should know. She looked up from her laptop. What's up? His courage faltered. I think you're amazing. Your sister is lucky to have you. She blushed slightly. That's sweet, Mike. You're pretty amazing yourself. Thursday evening, their last shift before the grand opening, Elena asked if he wanted to take a walk after work. They ended up by the waterfront, the sunset painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Elena leaned against the railing, looking out at the water. Can I tell you something kind of personal? Marcus nodded, his heart pounding. I dated a wealthy guy once, about 2 years ago. Richard. He was a venture capitalist, always talking about his deals and his connections. He made me feel so small, like everything about my life was inadequate. My job wasn't impressive enough. My clothes weren't right. Even the way I talked was wrong. She turned to face Marcus. When we broke up, I promised myself I'd only be with someone who values what really matters. Kindness, honesty, someone who sees me as an equal, not a project to fix or a trophy to show off. Marcus felt his world crumbling. She was telling him exactly why she'd never forgive him once she knew the truth. What if someone lied to you? He asked carefully. Not to hurt you, but because they were scared? Elena thought about it. I guess it would depend on the lie. But honesty is everything to me, Mike. I've had too many people in my life who weren't real with me. My ex, fake friends, even some family after my parents died who suddenly cared about our inheritance. I can forgive a lot of things, but lying about who you are, that's hard to come back from. They stood in silence, and Marcus knew he had to tell her. Elena, Her phone rang, cutting him off. She glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. It's Sophia. She only calls during school if something's wrong. She answered, and Marcus watched her expression shift from worry to panic. What? When? Okay, I'm coming right now. She hung up, already moving toward the street. Sophia's in the hospital. She collapsed during class. I have to go. Marcus grabbed her arm gently. Let me come with you. Elena shook her head, tears forming. You're sweet, but I need to do this alone. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? She was gone before he could argue, leaving Marcus standing alone with his confession unspoken. Friday morning arrived with the weight of inevitability. Marcus stood in his penthouse, David adjusting his tie. The custom Italian suit felt foreign after 2 weeks in a janitor's uniform. You could still tell her before the ceremony, David suggested. Marcus shook his head. Her sister's in the hospital. I can't add this to her plate right now. I'll tell her after, privately. David didn't look convinced. The longer you wait, the worse this gets. The bank's lobby was packed with press, investors, and employees. Camera flashes popped like fireworks. Marcus scanned the crowd for Elena but didn't see her. Good, he thought. Maybe she'd stayed at the hospital. Maybe he'd have time to explain before she found out. The ceremony began, and Marcus took the stage to applause. He started his speech talking about community banking and financial inclusion, but his mind was elsewhere. Then he saw her. Elena had slipped in through the back entrance, still wearing yesterday's clothes, her eyes red from crying. She was looking down at her phone, probably texting her sister. Marcus continued speaking, trying to catch her attention, to somehow signal that they needed to talk. Then Elena looked up. Her eyes found the stage, found him in his expensive suit, with his name on the banner behind him. Marcus watched as confusion crossed her face, then recognition, then something that looked like her heart breaking in real time. Their eyes locked across the crowded room, and Marcus saw the exact moment she understood everything. Her hand flew to her mouth, and she stumbled backward as if physically struck. Jessica, standing near the back, noticed Elena's reaction, and her voice cut through the murmuring crowd. "Oh my God, that's the girl who was hanging out with Mike the janitor. Guess she didn't know he was actually the boss." Laughter rippled through some of the employees. Elena's face flushed with humiliation, and she turned toward the exit. Marcus abandoned his speech mid-sentence. "Excuse me," he said into the microphone, already moving off the stage. David tried to stop him, but Marcus pushed past, his eyes fixed on Elena's retreating figure. He caught up with her in the parking lot. "Elena, please wait." She spun around, tears streaming down her face. "Wait? You want me to wait? I just spent the night in a hospital thinking my sister might die, and I came here straight from there because I wanted to check on you, make sure you were okay after yesterday. And this is what I find." Marcus reached for her, but she stepped back. "Don't touch me. Was I just another test to you? Another gold digger you needed to expose?" Her voice cracked on the words. "No! You were never a test, Elena. I fell in love with you." The words hung in the air between them. Elena laughed bitterly. "Love? You don't even know what that word means. You lied to me every single day. Every lunch, every conversation, every moment I thought we were connecting. You were lying." Marcus felt desperate. "I wanted to tell you. I tried so many times. Yesterday at the waterfront, I was about to—" Elena cut him off. "Not hard enough, Marcus. You didn't try hard enough. And you know what the worst part is? You thought I was like them, like Jessica and whoever else you were testing. You couldn't just trust that maybe, just maybe, I'm actually a good person." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I was falling for you. The real you, or who I thought was the real you. The guy who shared his lunch with me, who listened to my dreams, who treated the intern with respect. But that was all an act, wasn't it?" Marcus shook his head frantically. "That was me. That was the real me. More real than I've been in years." Elena wiped her tears. "How can I believe anything you say now? You're a billionaire who plays dress-up to test people. I'm just someone who works 2 jobs to survive. We were never in the same world, Marcus. You just pretended to visit mine." She walked to her car, and Marcus stood frozen, watching her drive away, understanding that he'd lost something irreplaceable. The next week was the darkest of Marcus's life. The bank opened successfully, but Marcus felt nothing. David finally confronted him. "So what are you going to do about it?" Marcus looked up from his desk. "There's nothing I can do. I broke her trust." David leaned forward. "Then prove you're worthy of it. Show her the real you, not the billionaire, not the janitor. Just Marcus." Marcus spent 3 days setting everything up. The following Tuesday, Elena received a letter with a key and an address. She almost threw it away, but curiosity won. The address led to a small office space. Elena unlocked the door and stepped inside. The space was fully furnished with computers, servers, ergonomic chairs, everything a tech startup could need. A sign on the desk read, Elena's Tech Solutions. Marcus stood near the window in jeans and a simple shirt, looking nervous. This is yours. No strings attached. Business registration is done. There's seed funding as a grant, and all the equipment is paid for. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted to show you that I see you, the real you, and I believe in you. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Marcus, I don't know what to say. He moved toward the door. You don't have to say anything. Wait, Elena said softly. He turned back. This doesn't fix everything. You hurt me, but this shows me you're trying to be real. She took a breath. Can we start over? Hi, I'm Elena. Marcus smiled. Hi, Elena. I'm Marcus. Just Marcus. I'd really like to get to know you. She extended her hand. Coffee? And this time, the truth. They shook hands, both smiling. Deal, Marcus said. 6 months later, Elena's company secured its first major contract. Marcus volunteers as a janitor 1 day a week to stay humble. And yes, they're still together. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories. Drop a comment below. Would you have forgiven Marcus? Let me know your thoughts.